Welcome back to the next episode of Pest Control Millionaire. Got the one and only Shawn Riley on today. Super fun. Shawn's a super dope dude. This will be a fun one. I'm excited. I don't even need notes for this one. We Tactical Pest Solutions out of OKC. Man, we go way back actually. It's kind of funny. But welcome to the show. Like, so you reached out to me last week. He's like, man, I can't wait to be on your podcast one day. I'm like, what are you waiting for? Let's just do this. And now he's all nervous to do it. But again, yeah, super excited to have you here, man.
I appreciate it, man. It's an honor.
Yeah, how you doing? How are things?
It's crazy. It's busy. Termites are crazy.
It's springtime hit, eh?
And Oklahoma's nuts, when the termites hit, they usually hit.
For sure. So let's go way back. We're taking it way back. Shawn, you know the routine, know what I do. If you and I go back to juniors and sophomores in high school, who's Shawn Riley in high school?
Man, just a guy trying to find himself, but I got pretty immersed in sports, and so football, baseball, just kind of all the way. Captain of the football team, dated the high school cheerleader,
Oh, you're one of those guys. Hey?
Yeah, for sure. Jock all the way.
Were you always super competitive growing up too?
Always. A little deep, but like I grew up, my dad was an alcoholic, and so it was a way for me to kind of hide all that stuff, get dug into sports and weightlifting and just all those things where I was able to hide a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, and you and I talked about this in the past, just about being real and authentic, and that's what people resonate to, because a lot of people grew up that way. So I actually had a couple of friends, same scenario. One of them, both parents are alcoholics. He decided not to drink. His other siblings drink. And I think at his senior all-night graduation, whatever it was, he did a standing ovation because he never missed a day of school ever in his life. And if you ask him why, he's like, oh, because my parents are alcoholics and I didn't want to be there. And you've heard the story analogy before, but this is a real life story of myself. Then you go ask his brothers, why they didn't go to school or why they drank so much. They're like, because my parents are alcoholics, I was too. So like, it's so crazy which path you can take with the same amount of parents. It's crazy, but it's a real life story that happened to me, one of my best friends. So,
well, I've never drank alcohol ever.
Really?
Never. No, just tried to stay away from it.
Yeah, it's super. I mean, that's impressive on its own. I commend you for that. I went down my path in high school, and not high school, but college. Actually, I didn't even drink till I was 21. Funny enough, didn't drink till I was 21, and then kind of the wheels fell off for a little bit, and then it took me getting a DUI to get my shit together. But here we are today. But it's just really cool that like, it's not cool that your parents were alcoholics or your dad was, but it's just cool that you chose not to. I actually went to school with another kid, kind of the same situation, never drink a drop. You couldn't get him to drink. It's super cool to have that guy around too,
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't ever a matter of like I wanted to, but I chose not to. It's just I never wanted to. I didn't want to go down that path. I wanted nothing to do with it. I had so much respect for my dad, but he was a jerk. He's a mean guy. Liked to fight. Watched it all the time, and I wanted no part of any of that. The fear of being just like him drove me to just. It was just not an option for me. So it wasn't like a choice I had to make, like my friends are partying and I'm not, or something like that. It was never a choice.
I hear you for sure. Is your dad still alive now? Do you have a relationship now?
No, he passed away in like 94. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. And, I miss him every day, but I hated every part of what he did to our family. So,
Absolutely. So then what happens after high school? Like, do you go off to college? What's your plan? What changed? Like, walk us through that.
So I got a scholarship to play junior college baseball. Did that for a year. Didn't really work out. So after that, I was pretty lost because when you immerse yourself in sports, it becomes who you are, not what you do. And it's supposed to be the opposite. It's kind of what you do, not who you are. And I became that. And so when I got lost without sports and didn't know what to do, so I went to work at UPS. Pretty good gig for about 5 years and didn't really work out. I ended up quitting that job to several other jobs that I went into. Started a little mowing crew with a buddy of mine. So I felt that entrepreneurial spirit for a while, just didn't know how to engage in it. I never even heard the word. Even when I was mowing, I didn't even know what that meant. So you just get so conditioned to go work a career job and go do the things that, you're supposed to do work 25, 30 years at one job, and especially back when I was, in high school, you don't take risk. You just go work and get paid and retire with a little bit of retirement. But um, from that, I just um, several other jobs, and then my first real gig was uh, I worked for a guy delivering furniture, and then a few months after that, I bought my own delivery truck and contract delivery driver for furniture. So that was my first real gig into real life entrepreneurial business owner.
Yeah, and then how does pest control find you?
Listen, this is crazy. So just a little backstory of that. Brandon was one of my helpers, Brandon Peterman.
Baron Peterman. I remember that. Okay, this is all coming together. I remember him telling me that's how he knew you because he used to work at a um furniture hauling place,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Mathis Brothers. And
yeah, yeah.
so I owned the truck and Brandon come and work for me. He was my helper.
Gang,
Yeah.
that's
He was
awesome.
before he even started mowing, before anything. He hadn't even started mowing yards. And then shortly after he started mowing yards and then still worked with me. And then I bought a second truck and he was running my second truck. So he was in charge of another helper and working a truck and still trying to mow yards. And then he got tired of that. And then, there's Elite Lawn Care. So
Yeah, for sure. Which we know the elite longer, especially in this podcast. As you guys know, Brandon was obviously one of my best friends. Um, but so I have to ask, just because it's Brandon, how is Brandon as an employee?
I don't think you want to discuss this here.
I love him to death. That's why I asked.
Holy smokes. Brandon was a handful, but
He
he's a
still
good.
is.
Oh my gosh. I love Brandon, but we had our issues this time and he's hard headed and he's good,
Oh
but
yeah,
that's what makes him what he is. So I have a ton of I have a ton of respect for him.
me too. He's an absolute gangster in the industry. Again, love him to death too, but I still gotta give him shit. Gotta poke a little bit. Because I already knew the answer. I could not imagine working with him.
Ask him about the time he ran his brand new truck into a pond. I don't know if he told you that story, but
He
just ask him.
did. Oh, I always carry my trusty notebook, so I'm writing down to ask Brandon about the pond. Um, so yeah, so you guys, you had a second truck. Brandon's running a truck.
Yeah. Yeah. So that uh married with a young kid. Unfortunately, my marriage didn't work out, got a divorce. Doing furniture full time, being a single dad, was rough. So I have a friend that worked at Terminex, pretty high level. He called me and said, "Hey, come work for me, and I'll, put you in a spot." So I went to work at Terminex in 2007, and that's where I look back, never looking back.
So how long did you stay at Terminex for? I'm sure that was I mean, it's a big company, so I'm sure you learned a ton. But
Listen, Terminex has its issues and stuff, but like
oh,
for
for sure,
me,
we all do.
for me, I've learned everything from that. I think they in the Oklahoma City branch, at least, really good company. Uh, the guy I worked for, he ended up being this VP of in Memphis, under just another guy. So I had good direction, good mentorship from him. But yeah, he hired me as a service manager with no experience over about 40 people. That was intense.
See, that's pretty crazy because I'm sure you just knew that your hustle, you're already leading a pretty good, I mean, decent sized team running your own business. So you just take the same management style, bring it into the company. I get it. So how was that? How long did you stay there, and how was it for while you're there?
I worked there right at 5 years. Uh, Good stuff. I mean, and here's what I did. I went as a service manager, got into it, realized how I'm not going to say easy, but how duplicatable this was, and kind of having I don't know, the beginning stages of like wanting to own my own business. A few short months into it, I realized I could do this, and this was the gig. So I did it backwards. I went from being a service manager to being a salesman to being a tech. I kind of put myself in those positions, say, I don't want to do this manager anymore. I want to be a salesman. Then I went from salesman to being a tech and kind of learned all of it. And then right after that, we quit and started our own in 2013.
And you said is there more than you?
Yeah, Jacob, my business partner. Um, Funny, he was my helper at Mathis Brothers too. Him and Brandon were friends. They kind of just, it kind of worked out. But he's been with me since 2019. He bought his own delivery truck. And then from there, as soon as I got at Terminex, told him to come over. He came on board at Terminex a year later, and then in 2013 we exited Terminex and started our own.
Gotcha. So now not just one of you leaves, you both leave. You started a brand new company, 0 customers. Walk me through that, like the first year, both of you guys. OKC's market as it is, which we all know, it's a tough market.
Oklahoma City's tough. It's a tough market. There's a lot of good companies here. There's a lot of good opportunity too. It's an all season pest control region, so it's really really competitive. But anyway, we started with 0 customers. I honored my no compete with Terminex because my friend worked there. I wasn't gonna, and I had no certainty that this was going to work out. I was hopeful and confident, but I wasn't certain. So if I had to go back, I could, and we left on good terms. And man, I went and got another job at Tinker Air Force Base to work for a year while I was doing pest control, and then Jacob, he got a branch manager bonus, and that's what we operated on, like $25,000 for the first year. That's all. With 2 of us, we started mowing yards and doing pest control, and then we just dude burned the candle at both ends.
For sure. So you're doing mowing, just to stay busy, I'm assuming,
Yeah,
right? And then do
yeah,
pest control. Yeah,
yeah, and built in pest control customers right away, and they liked us, so they just chose us, and we knew what we were doing. It's not like entry level pest control. We knew what we were doing. Jacob was the branch manager, and he killed it. He's a great, great business guy, and um, a lot of cool vision. And we just mowed yards and did pest control. And then a year later, we get into weed control. Uh, we got a couple good deals on some 300-gallon tanks, put them in the back of the truck, started doing weed control, mowing yards, and pest control. We did that till we realized none of this was okay except for pest control for us. It was like, we got to choose something. And pest control was the easiest for us. So we gave 80, 100 weed control customers. We just handed them over to Brandon. That's what he does. We just said, it's not, could we have sold it? Maybe, but Brandon's our friend and it didn't matter. We just gave them to him and just never looked back with pest control.
Are you sick of paying marketing agencies and not getting results? Well, we are hosting the #1 step-by-step class on how to attract and generate sales without paying a marketing agency or having a huge budget. Most lawn care and pest control owners get stuck at a ceiling because they're dealing with outdated systems or relying on guesswork waiting for the phones to ring. Our upcoming class this Thursday provides proven strategies to generate hundreds of leads without a huge budget. We'll show you how to build a predictable system to grow past $1 million. We show you how to automate your marketing. We'll also teach you how to delegate and build your team so you have more time. So click the link in the description below. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. This is the one thing that I wish I had learned a lot sooner. Now, let's get back to the show.
and at the same time, you give away the yards that you're mowing too, I'm assuming, obviously, or you just shut them down.
I think we just shut the mowing down. We didn't do much with it.
And so, how many years did you do that for? It was the second year.
Probably two years, probably solid of pest control and weed control, and pest until we built up enough business to where we thought we would be busy.
So, all right, tell me that, like that emphasis on thought. What happened there? So you thought you sold this, that'd be busy. What year? So this is 17, right? 18, 19,
This would be 13, probably 2015.
or 2015. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we bought a business. We bought a small business that had been around since like 1968. We bought that. Unfortunately, her husband had passed away, and it was kind of dwindling, went down, and she wanted to kind of keep it going. So we bought it from her, and a few months later, she come to work for us. So she retired last year. So she's been with us the whole time.
Oh,
That
really?
yeah, that enabled us to kind of get a built-in business to help supplement losing the weed control and the mowing. So from there, we just hit the pavement. We we don't door knock or anything, so don't even know anything about that. The most I know is from learning in your class and stuff like that. But we working at Mathis Brothers, we have a built-in contact there. We won that contract over pretty quickly, and it's a big one. It's one of our biggest accounts, and
You still have it today?
yeah, yep, Yeah, it's big with 28 locations and, you know, their houses and stuff like that. So we've been real fortunate to keep and maintain that. So that's how we overcame losing that and buying that business. And
When you left, did you start with Tactical Pest Control Solutions, or did you change the name, or was that the one you bought? How did that work? The name?
so we started Tactical Pest. Yep. Yep. We started that. We went through a bunch of name, I don't know, ideas that didn't really flow. And we settled on this just because it's kind of, we both respect the police and the military. And it just kind of went with what we both liked. So
Right. I gotcha. That's cool. And then like those first 3 years, can you think of like a couple days that were just like unforgettable, like just bad days in general?
man, I would be lying to you if I told you that all those days weren't scary and some of them are bad, but I to be honest, I don't remember having a bad, not really. I mean, we just Jacob and I have the same exact vision. We're different people. He approaches things different than I do, but it's the same vision. We can talk to a customer separate and not tell each other, and we'll tell the same thing. So we didn't have a lot of conflicting information going out
It's important. Yeah.
or super important. M- and I don't want to sound arrogant by any means, but like I just don't remember having really any bad days that stick out. I mean, not anything that comes to mind.
That's awesome. But I mean, I'm sure you had bad days in the past. Especially at old job when you get to work for yourself, like every day is a new day. You're gonna have 10% of your bad days of 4 days a month. Like you're gonna be worse than others, but overall, we live a pretty good life. Just said in the last podcast too. Like overall, like we're very very fortunate. And in every business starts out hard in general. But how did you guys grow the company? I know you said y'all do door knocking, but how are you guys growing? Because I mean, you guys are growing pretty fast.
We did grow fast. It was crazy, and all referrals to just I grew up. So we service this little area called the Tri-City area, Tuttle, Newcastle, Blanchard, and I grew up here, and I went to two of the three Tri-City schools, and so I knew a lot of people. Built it that way. Able to get Mathis Brothers early on, um, and it was just referrals. And we didn't know any different, man. We just joined community pages, um, Facebook groups, all that, and just every time somebody had asked for pest control, boom, I would put my name out there, and our local customers would just hammer that with our name. So 10 to 1, 10 to 2 referrals, and to be honest, up until your class, that's all we've done. We we dabbled in a little bit of marketing, but it just didn't seem to pan out. You got to spend a lot of money paying those people to get anything going, and we weren't spending enough money, and we weren't willing to, just because it just wasn't working. I wasn't getting a return on investment on that. So
Did you guys buy at another company too, or was it the only one you bought?
no, we bought another one.
That come with the building, or is the building separate?
We bought the second company, and we just leased the building that they were already in. So we kind of just took over their lease and their building, and that was a really good move for us, moving from Tuttle to Newcastle. A lot more traffic, and then I don't know, 2 years later, something like that, we were fortunate enough to find this building that we're in now, and we purchased that.
How did you find that company that was for sale a second time?
Both times have been from our distributor.
I hear that all the time. That's so awesome. Did you ask him, or did he come on and tell you?
Yeah, they told us. Like, we ask, hey, if you have anybody, but we have such a good relationship with them, and good people that work there, and they they referred, and they may have referred other companies too. They just, they referred us, and we've spent our whole time at one distributor, so there's a little bit of loyalty factor there, I think, and
That's cool.
so that's how we purchased that one too. Kind of same scenario, been around since the 1960s. Single owner, kind of dwindled down as they got older. He passed away, and daughter sold it to us.
It's really cool. With buying companies like that, a lot older, they might have been doing a lot of one times, buying those things. Like, I'm not sure what it's like in your area. It seems like common in ours to do a lot of one times or buy yearlies, because that's just the old timers did. Did you run into that with any of the purchases?
So not very much. We were fortunate that they had regular reoccurring services. The first one was done surprisingly well for being older and had agreements and had termite annual value and stuff like that. The second one was a little more like what you're talking about. They called them reoccurring services, but they were reoccurring when the customer called, not when we were supposed to go out there, right? So when we called people, people were like, "Hey, I don't need you coming out here that often. No, they used to do this or that," and we didn't match that. So, and then one of my pet peeves is doing termite courtesy sprays, annual courtesy spray that turns into an annual termite treatment to the customer. They think they're getting a termite treatment every year. We don't do those. We just do inspections. And so we were the bad guy.
Yeah. How did you overcome that then with those customers, or didn't you? Obviously, in some.
Yeah. We converted them. So we converted them from old treatments to updated Termidor treatments. And then they understood. So a lot of those we converted, a lot of them we just kind of continued to honor the courtesy pest spray, and we made sure that they knew that was the language, not a termite treatment every year. So made a few people mad.
Yeah. Were both companies pen and paper, or there was some sort of CRMs in place at the time?
No, both pen and paper.
Fun.
That was hard, but yeah, that was fun. Matter of fact, the lady that ran the office had the yellow legal pad, and she would take white double-sided tape or white tape and stick it on the lines that are already there, and then she would write the schedule, and then on the yellow notebook. It was insane.
I always started laughing because we went through this 2 years ago with another company. It had like 5,000 customers, and the way they had it set up, like I get it. It worked. It was pretty neat. A bunch of shelves that were all alphabetical order. Their routes, like it was pretty well thought out for like back in the 80s. Pretty cool. Not gonna lie. Obviously, nothing I want to do today, but same thing. Like every spring, she would call every single customer, and every spring she had a yellow notepad that she would write down the names and like put a yes or no or what. Like every single spring, 5,000 people. I'm like, oh my gosh. So there's a lot of legwork to get to all that just entered in the system in itself.
Well, and just for that, the customers are used to what they've done, and then you put it in an automated CRM, and then they lose their mind a little bit. Like, hey, I'm not used to all these calls. I'm not used to all this. Like, what are y'all doing?
For sure. They call us like in the spring one time and they let us know they're gonna be out there in the next couple of months. Like not the day of, nothing. Like you're giving them more information, more data, and they don't like it.
Well, just an example, we show up to an 8 to 10. We give 2-hour time frames, and we gave an 8 to 10, and the guy's mad. He's, the previous owner shows right up at the very first 8 o'clock. Da da da. He sprays 20 gallons of chemical around my house. What you guys are spraying 2.5 gallons. What are you doing? Like that. That was a hard thing to overcome too.
Super. I love that you brought that up because same thing. They use power sprayers, the company that we bought, and they're literally spraying the entire house, top to bottom, the entire thing. So imagine you're trying to go there even with the power sprayer, doing just the base, or your backpack sprayer, just the base. It's like, wait, what? Like, what are you doing? Like, well, I mean, this is the law. The label is the law. You can't go higher than 3 feet. What they're doing is illegal. How did you overcome that with those customers?
We just stuck to our guns, like, hey, listen, I mean, I don't know what they did in the past, but we can't do that. And I would show them. I didn't get too much information. It's just, this is what we do. We're 3 foot up, 8 to 10 foot out, doors and windows. Well, they used to treat in my garage. I mean, I can pin stream in your garage. I can't treat no, they used to treat my whole thing as wet. It'd stay wet for 2 days in here. And I can't do that. So we lost a few, but not even a significant amount to even matter.
Yeah. How did you handle like payment? Because they're obviously used to pay with cash or check, not cards on file. What did you guys do there? Like the reason I'm asking these questions, I know the answers. I know what we did, but I want all the listeners to go through, like, just to learn from what we had to go through. So if they do go buy a company like the older, nothing wrong with it, but like these are the things you're gonna have to do to make sure it's put in place going forward.
So in the beginning, like, we tried to honor everything that they did within the law. Over that we couldn't, but if they paid by check, we tried to honor that and to make it an easy transition. And then we would try to push, credit card on file, and We've converted almost all of those, but we just didn't do that in the beginning. We tried to ease into that a little bit and give them a little bit of a break, understanding that, it's a new change, and keeping them was more valuable than losing them over a payment option.
I agree. And then, like 2 questions to back that up. 1, did you raise prices year 1, year 2, or did you leave them be? And 2, was the old company good at gathering information, say phone numbers, emails, things like that, or is it something you guys had to get to?
We kept the prices year 1 and year 2. That's something that you and I have talked about this, that we haven't really done, um, on a regular basis. We've raised our new customer prices on a regular basis, just not our current ones. So we left those be, anytime we could. If they wanted to do an add-on, we put it to the current pricing or stuff like that, but we didn't go in and raise pricing. And what was the second question? I already
Was
lost my
it oh, you're good. Was the current company that you bought it from, were they good at about
No.
getting information? No. Yeah, so you guys had to
Terrible.
get
No emails, no phone numbers, one phone number. It was really difficult trying to get a hold of people most of the time. And I don't know, but this is how important it is to me to train your customers correctly. It's a learning experience. I would probably do a little more due diligence on that type of. We've had a couple of opportunities again, and we've walked away from because it wasn't worth just the dirty work to get that all done. We're gonna be a little more picky and stuff on who we pick next time.
I love that. I think as owners, we get too emotionally invested in these deals, and we even know we should walk away, but at the same time, it's like, I had to do it. So that's a skill I had to learn too. We get so emotionally invested in these deals, we don't want to just walk away when we know we should. And then we buy something, and it's like, shit, that's a lot of work. Eventually, it'll pay off in the long run, but timing was probably not right. But I love that they brought that up. So he said, I'd do more due diligence, which just means you look more for data, which they didn't have a lot of. What would you have done different that we can learn from?
I would look for companies that match your skill set, because there's a lot of pest control companies that do different than you, and their customers are used to that. And then you come in and you really try to change up the whole setting. It's really disruptive for the people that are paying your bills. They pay, and if you disrupt that, um, it's really hard to keep people, and convincing them that you're right and the previous company that they paid years and years to were wrong. That's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Just because they probably have an emotional attachment to that company because they've been with them for 25 years, like you said, and then to come in and tell them that what they did was wrong, which wasn't wrong. You're just improving it. But it's a hard adjustment. So you're going to have some churn in there no matter what. We used to do a pretty good job at keeping most of those customers. And you're 5 years into that deal. But if you're looking to buy another one, what would you look for? Would they have a CRM already? Would it be okay if they had paper? Like, what are you looking for now?
Well, I wouldn't eliminate everybody on paper, but it would be that would be a red flag for me. I mean, CRM would be probably the first thing, and then agreements. So they would all need to be on agreements, and not interested in buying or buying at a high level one-time customers. Just not.
Did you have a lawyer involved? Who made the deal happen? Who made it work? You guys did it all yourself?
All ourselves. We didn't. We had an attorney draw up some paperwork, but they weren't involved in it. And I don't know how we did this, but both were self-finance. We didn't have to get a loan. We didn't have to do anything. We just paid down.
Yeah, that's really good. And you see that a lot, especially with the smaller deals like that too, even if they're not small. When I say small, like 1 million and below. Again, it's the owner, 2 or 3 guys out there running a business, and they've done a really good job. They just couldn't take it to the next level. They didn't want either they didn't want to or didn't know how to. You know what I mean? So for us to come in there and take those
little
over,
of both.
yeah. And so like the guys that I purchased from, great dudes too. They've all been pretty good. But there's some that I wish I'd have walked away from too. So I'm right there with you. So again, it's a learning experience, but that's just why I want the listeners to learn. Like, go out and find yourself a really good business attorney that deals with transactions. They're going to save you a lot of money and hassle. Have someone go in there, look at the financials, make sure you're getting a good deal. Send it off to someone much smarter than you or us. To help finance the deal.
I would say that I would be, I would look for one that the customer's calling your phone number. You're not having to call them to get schedules. They're calling you. They want your service. They're expecting the service, not ones that you're having to call and ask for the service. And then, then when you're asking, then you're asking for an answer, right? Yes or no. And I don't want to search for the no. We're coming to your house.
Yep, I agree. Just look for a reoccurring job instead of like a one time. Just show up whenever you want to. Yes or no. You're running that too. But yeah, I 100% agree with you there. If you could talk a little bit more about like on the deal specifically, not so much how you finance it, but like you get onboarded the customers after some time. How long do you think that process took? I know you have a couple that have been 5 years, but how long do you think the process took to have it in a good running spot?
Probably a year.
Yeah.
It probably took, we do most of our stuff is bi-monthly services. And then we bought that company and they were quarterly, some semi-annuals and stuff. So trying to get them converted over to bi-monthly, we didn't push that too hard, but it's hard to train a customer that's been with somebody else. It's hard to train them 4 times, to be on the same page that you are.
Yeah. And I like biannuals too, because I feel like there's a lot more touch points than quarterlies, with the customer.
Yeah, it took about a year, and then some others just took longer, but, man, it didn't take very long to go out to a termite annual, and they were treated with Durasban in, 1990 or something like that and convert them over to a updated terminal service, and then they were like, "This is how it's supposed to be done, okay. We like this way better," A lot of it's just common sense, it was never just brought to the customer's attention to where if you put it where it makes sense to them, they're like, "Well, that makes total sense," versus what we have been getting.
Yeah. And then I heard you say Terminator. Are you doing all liquid treatments exclusively, or are you using any bait stations or anything like that?
No.
Nothing yet.
No.
Cool. Are you? I'm assuming that you guys are using power sprayer still. Are you doing some backpack?
We do mostly backpack. The guys, the backpacks are so good now. They put out such good volume that it substitutes. I like having the option for the power sprayer just because not every customer can go out and buy a power sprayer. So I think it looks good.
That's gonna be my next question. So I just did a video. I think it'll be put out in next week or something like that for YouTube. Is a power sprayers versus backpack sprayers, the pros and cons of both. And I went into detail like how much volume per job per house, but then I talk about visually, what looks better and more professional.
With no doubt, it's a power spray. So, how TikTok is. They sell those backpacks for $80, and they're power sprayers on with the backpack, and then so any customer can go do it themselves. We know they're not going to do it right. We know they're not going to do it every time, but it's not the point. Like, so I encourage my techs to do both. Right, do the front yard with the power sprayer, and then put the backpack on and go do the back. That's hard with all the landscape, all those stuff. It's just so kind of a combo of both.
Interesting. So the power sprayers are still in your truck just for looks, basically.
Yep.
Interesting. What about when you're doing like trenching or doing your termite jobs? Are you using power sprayers for that?
Yeah, we have a dedicated termite trucks, so they don't. We have one termite guy, and he has a helper, and we have a spare that we'll get in a truck and go do termite work if we need to. But yeah, that's all separate.
Yeah, cool. What does your truck setup look like? We don't ever talk about this side of the world ever on the podcast. I'm just curious. Ever.
We have toolboxes on one side, and all of our stuff goes in its. We let them organize it however they want, and then we have a sprayer in the back, and with the tank, usually a couple of them have 50-gallon tanks, and most of them have 35-gallon tanks.
And how many jobs are they typically running a day?
Well, they work 4 days a week, so they work 4 10-hour days, so they're pretty hammered. Anywhere between 16 and 20 generally.
Love that. And you give them a 3-day weekend. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, they get some of them get midweek off, but they get to choose as long as there's not more than 2 days, 2 people off at the same time, then they get to choose.
That's cool. Gives them a little bit more freedom to enjoy life too.
I think it's process for them. We get the same amount of work or even more out of them.
Especially being so hot down there,
Yeah. And they love getting to spend their time with their family.
Yeah, that's cool. What's your favorite tool in the truck?
Flashlight.
That's awesome. That's not what I was expecting either, but pretty smart. Yeah, I don't think I even said that. I'd have been like power sprayer for sure.
Yeah, flashlight, because you don't even get the power spray unless you have an issue that you find with the flashlight in my how we look, so. And we're a termite company, so we're looking for termites all the time too.
What's the revenue split from commercial to residential and termite work? Not any numbers, just percentages. Just curious.
Oh, man. I would say it's probably 70-30, 65-35 residential to commercial. We really wanna grow the commercial side even more, so but that 35% drives most of our revenue. It's crazy, so, termite work, I mean, it might be 30% of our revenue total.
Gotcha. Are you doing a lot of wildlife stuff too, or do you completely say
No wildlife,
nothing, zero, nothing, no exclusion
Nope.
work, something like that?
No.
Is it on the radar to do in the future, or something that you just don't want to do? Sub it out to someone else, make someone else is good at it.
No, I think that exclusion work is something I'd really wanna get into because I think there's some value there to our already existing client base and, um, pretty pretty good, revenue stream. But having somebody that knowledgeable to do it that I could trust without me having to get on a roof and do all that, I don't mind doing that. I don't have the knowledge myself, so how do I trust that it's gonna get done right without training them, and I don't know what I'm doing on that part. I mean, I know what I want. I could figure it out,
Yeah.
but
Shout out to AAC. They're great. They have a lot of training.
AAC.
Yeah, they're actually right out of I think they're in Indiana. Don't quote me. But might even be in Michigan. I don't know. Don't matter. Somewhere down there. But they have I think it's Indiana. But yeah, they have awesome training. Jack Searles, great dude. Taught us a bunch of stuff. He's come and visit us a bunch of times. Um, he's done online trainings with us. He's come to our shop and done trainings with us. So a lot of great information. And that's what I tell a lot of people, like, how do you train your guys? I'm like, well, you obviously train them, but if you just reach out to your suppliers, they have so much training for you guys already. It's a cheat code. They'll come in and for free because you're buying your product from them. They'll come in for free, give you anything that you need to know about your product and how to do it or how to apply everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm learning these cheat codes just by your class, man. It's like you've always been somebody that I've looked up to and stuff, but your class is really killer, and uh, I like the word cheat code because it's that all your guests, all your people, all your expertise that you bring to your show, and it's kind of priceless. And um, just the networking portion of what you're doing is incredible. So I appreciate all that for me anyway, because I don't like to say we're old school, but like compared to what you're doing, we're old school, and realizing that I think what we've done, the way we've done it is kind of crazy without doing any of the things that you've done. Right. So I'm super excited about our future implementing all the things and really taking advantage of these cheat codes.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. So I don't ever pitch the class on podcast ever. I'm not out there to do that. Just helping people as we go. But I'll take it. So thank you. What is one thing that you wish you would have known when you started that you know now?
Maybe more the technology side of it. When we started with Excel. We kept everything for about 3 years on Excel, even though we came from Termax with a CRM. We got so busy so fast, we just couldn't decide which one. There were so many out there, um, and in the end, we chose PestPack, and while I like PestPack, it was expensive, and then we went to, Field Routes, and it's less expensive, but it has more problems. So it's like and then changing from CRM to CRM is like, oh, it's a nightmare.
I'd love to do it, but the thought of having to go through that with this many customers, like, I'd rather just deal with the pain that I'm already dealing with. Like, the pain to go to that sounds like more pain than I'm dealing with now. And I feel like that's how they get you locked in anyway.
Well, and everything converted over wrong. We had to go manually do it all anyway. They wanted like 4 grand to transfer the credit cards on file. So we did that manually. I wasn't giving them that money just to push a button.
We've done that in the past with smaller acquisitions too, and we actually just hired a VA for like a couple $100, had them do it all for us. Not the credit cards, but everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, so technology was probably what I wish I would have dug in a little bit more. I think it would have made all of this easier, faster. So, and then listening to you guys and Jake and stuff, it's like realizing that we're really missing our opportunity by.
Which is funny because I actually, for the listeners that don't know, which they wouldn't know this, when I got into pest control, Brandon connected me with you. That's how we first got connected.
It feels kind of silly to say that you reached out to me and we talked about stuff, winter services and stuff like that, and then here you are killing it.
Yeah, but I again, like I was already in business. I already built a pretty good sized business, and then I was just starting into a uh new endeavor, which is in pest control. I didn't have a clue. There's like Shawn, like I told you before, you probably forgot more about pest control than I'll ever know, and I don't really care to know. Like of course I know enough, but I don't know in detail like you guys do. Um, but I got hired those people that are really good at their job, and I had a little bit of money because I had sold a company to put into this one, so definitely helps, make things faster. Um, but it's funny, like going back to like I reached out to you originally, like that's how we got connected, and now here we are. You're saying you're learning from me, so it's just kind of funny. Yeah, it's really cool. Talk a little bit about your business partner. Like I know, like I have business partners, you have business partners. Not every day is a great day. But I mean, knock on wood. I mean, it's been pretty good so far with all my partners, but it's not always easy. You have to have some tough conversations for sure.
No, and it's not, but like we wouldn't be here without him, and we've had just I'm gonna say rough days, just like you said, not every day's nice. We've had disagreements and all that, but we always come down to making the right decision regardless. I have to swallow my pride a little bit, and he's had to swallow his a little bit to make the best decisions for our company. And you know, we're both high spenders, so profit probably a little bit lower than it should be. I bought a TRX for a work truck with tactical on the side, and he's got a big lifted mega cab. But like, you know, other than that, like we get along. I love him like a brother. I wouldn't do this with anybody else. And I mean, yeah, we do well. And he's been with me since
Day one,
really
yeah,
2001
before
when
the
he was my
company, yeah.
helper. Yeah, yeah. And so we've been together a long time, and um, it's just I don't know. We do a good job together. We work together. He's polar opposite on my personality.
Yeah,
He's
that was
like
those
super.
would be my future questions. Like, what are the roles inside the company, and then where do you excel where he maybe isn't so great, and then vice versa? How do you guys make that work?
We kind of get into a situation where we both run the business, and so everybody has two bosses, and that doesn't always work out because they don't know who to ask what. We've kind of muddied the waters on that a little bit. I'll decide at one time, and then he'll decide at the next time, and so it creates a little confusion with the employees. But we generally both have the same answers, so that's good. Um, he's real organized. He runs kind of our operations, the daily stuff. He pays the bills and kind of manages the numbers part of it. And I'm more in the field. I run all sales. I'm the only one that sell. I say only. Jacob will go out and sell too when he needs to, but for the most part, I do all the sales, and I'm generally the service guy for my techs. And as I say that, I'm in here in the AC doing a podcast, and he's out doing a termite job by himself.
Like, we just allegedly you're here.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's cool. Yeah, and like I said, early on, I thought that having a partner, again, early on in my career, I was like, it'd be a bad thing. And then, like you just said, like without the partners that I have now, I couldn't do anything what we're doing today. And they've all been great. Of course, like you said, we're gonna have bad days. We're gonna have some disagreements. Have to have some tough conversations, but that's just part of life in general. Like I'm not one to like avoid a hard conversation. Like I'd rather just go directly to the source, get it out of the way, and then just move forward the best way we both can.
It seems like that's what we do, and I think if it wasn't him, my partnership wouldn't have lasted with anybody else, right? I have so much respect for him that even though if I disagree, I still like we'll get to the hard stuff and then we'll deal with it and then we move on and then we're good, you know?
Yeah. So when you were over at Terminex, you were doing sales there. Is that why you took the sales role here? Or is that just something that you kind of got groomed into?
I think we just grew into, we both did sales, we'd go do it together when it was just us. And then like in the same truck, we'd go to the same customer, right? Pull up, two of us get out. And then it just kind of transitioned into, he was a branch manager, so he kind of knew the operating part of it to where reports and budgets and all that stuff, where I was always just a service guy. So it kind of naturally just manifested like that. And one of the books that you recommended, Traction, we're both reading that right now, getting into that. So we're gonna implement the EOS system and have a little bit better vision for everybody, us too.
I think like once you guys decide who's what role, right? It'll help you, it'll help him, it'll help your entire company know who to go to, and then the seats that you're covering. So if they have a operations question or they have an HR question, like they'll just know who to go to, make things a lot easier for everyone involved. And so that's what I was gonna say earlier, but you brought it up, so it worked out pretty good. But Traction's a great book. In fact, I think I've talked about in the last 3 podcasts, and I talk about it over and over and over again. And some people it might be too big for, right? But you're at a great size now where you guys start thinking about things like this, and it'll change your business forever. Just look at your KPIs like on a weekly basis, like and watch all the data. Like now you can make decisions not just off a whim, but actually look at the data, watch what's happening on a weekly basis, and it's just something you guys need to do.
Well, here's the thing. I'm just a technician, man. I'm just out here doing the best I can, trying to run a business, and that's it. So I've reached my capacity.
Yeah, I wouldn't say you've reached it yet, but now you just got to grow. Like again, like we always have to evolve, right, as people and as leaders. And so, like now you just have to recreate yourself. And I always say that you should be recreating yourself every 6 months. You can't be the old version.
That's what I was going to say. I've reached my capacity of my knowledge base on how to run my business the way I know how. So now I got to train myself to be better. So that EOS was perfect for us to start to implement that things. And that way I don't even have to run it. It just flows. Right.
Yeah.
So,
How did you approach Jacob with the book idea? Was he open to it right away?
yeah, very much
Awesome.
so. Yeah. Great idea. We need to do it. He's listening to it on the podcast, on the Audible. And, so that was like I said, we're always on the same page. We don't ever conflict with a bunch of stuff.
So you're
that
like, hey,
makes it
there's this
easier.
book that got recommended. I think we should read it. That's how you pitched it.
Yeah. Yeah. I said, hey, dude, like Jonas recommended Traction. I've got halfway through it. You need to do it. I sent him the link and he started listening
what have
to
you
it.
thought so far?
It's a little overwhelming because there's a lot of information that I don't know much about. I understand flow charts and I understand, KPI stuff, but getting it all implemented and having these meetings and like just all this stair step stuff you do seems pretty intimidating in the beginning, but I can see the value of once it's implemented, it just kind of takes care of itself.
And it's just like anything else that you do. Like the first couple of times, it's gonna be a little rough. It's gonna take a little bit longer with anything, right? So, but the more you do that, like every week, in like you're 2 or 3 years in, it's gonna be like a couple clicks of a button, got the report. Couple clicks of a button, got a report. Now you have this dashboard built out. You pull up every single week. It's like, oh, here it is, built out. It's awesome. Let's check all of our data. Roll forward.
Well, one thing we want to implement this early because I say early, 13 years isn't really early, but like we hired our first service manager, we promoted him within. And so implementing this EOS system right now, and then as we grow, I anticipate us like kind of growing faster than we've ever grown. I don't want to be digging into that with key leadership in place and not having a clue. So I think it's critical that we get this in place so we don't fail the people that we hire.
Yeah, that's super awesome. I know you said a lot of it's been off referrals, but what else has been really, really working for you guys to help scale your company?
Jonas, to be honest, we failed in a bunch of those things to scale. It's incredible. We've grown 30% the last 3 years doing nothing.
It's amazing.
I mean, just going out and servicing.
But you didn't do nothing because you did a great job. You're a great leader. You have great technicians. You're branded well. Like you didn't just do nothing. You don't grow 30% every year by doing nothing.
So I guess branding would be the biggest thing that we've done. We just brand. We do a lot of community support. I mean, I'm doing
see, now the real stuff's coming out.
Yeah. So, Herbalife Shake Shop right up here in Newcastle, one of my stops that I make every day, have a shake. We're doing Tactical Tuesday there, and we're gonna give away $500 worth of shakes to the first people that come in, with our I had some cups printed with our logo, and they're gonna put it in that for me, and so just branding really, kind of community support. If they're gonna pay us money to do their service, I want them to see that we're supporting their community, the youth, the sports, the churches, whatever we do. We try to be involved in all that.
Yeah, I love it. Like I said, you're putting yourself out there for sure. Is your new shop is it on the highway or something like that? Remember you saying that?
Right on
Yeah.
Yes, right on the highway. Yeah.
How much do you think that helps or doesn't help? I know. Please tell me.
Kinda crazy. The place that we first were at was in kind of this little dumpy building, but prime location. We moved a little south, and it's down a hill, but our sign is giant, and people drive by it, and they've never even seen it. So, I think our location has kinda hindered us a little bit compared to and we're less than a mile away. So, just because it's down a hill 20 feet, that's it. Like, it sets down and you drive by it and don't even know, but compared to where we were in the beginning, it's just a tremendous location. We're getting the biggest Indian hospital in the country is getting built a mile away. A new fire department got built across the street. Like 1,500 houses are going in as we speak, like literally a quarter mile away. So I think the vision is going to get there more. We're just a little bit outside of a stoplight south that nobody sees, So, but we'll get the traffic pretty soon. So I think we got a great location.
And I know tons of people move in and out of OKC. Does that affect your churn at all? Do you guys hold your customers pretty well? What does that look like?
No, we don't have our retention is awesome, and we don't have any issues with keeping customers. Maybe income based, maybe financial reasons, death, moving stuff, but no, moving is like a non-issue. So
So, which is great. So I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that. Why do you think that is? You and I have talked about this outside the podcast, but why do you tell the listeners why you think your retention so well?
man, I've been real lucky. I say lucky on my technicians. They're just incredible. I think it's relatability. I think when you form a relationship with your customer from the very beginning, it's just that locks you in for however long they can afford to keep you.
So do you have your technicians work the same route all the time?
Yeah. hmm Yeah, they're in their same area. Yeah. I have a guy we hired part-time, and then he turned into full-time, and now he's a single guy, and then got married, had 2 kids, and people give him car seats, and they give him diapers, and they come to his showers and stuff, so it's like that kind of relationship with your customer is uh, it's more than I expected that we would get, but I think it's just having some kind of relatability to every customer keeps us.
Yeah, walk me through a service from a technician from start to finish.
Well, first of all, so we call the day before. Our office calls the day before and lets them know we're coming. We don't give time frames to them, but we have 2-hour time frames, right? If they ask, we'll give them. But
This is all done manually too, not leaving a voicemail bomb.
yeah, that we send out a with our field routes. We send out a text, boom, on right. And those that don't reply, we call. I have a girl call, and then so our techs when they start their day, before they arrive at every customer's house, we call them, we send a text ahead. So, hey, this is Don Ram on my way to your house. Be there within 15 minutes. Boom. Out. Tons of response for that. We used to call them every time with no response, and texting is about a 80% response rate. And then it's like, thanks, Dondre. Hey, I had ants by my window. Cool. We've found out that eliminated almost all extra services just by a text ahead because they responded. Their work, they're busy, they forgot. Oh, he's coming. Tell them about the spiders or the ants or whatever. Hey, here's my garage code. Go in my house and replace the sticky traps or whatever. Um, 99% of our customers are exterior only. We very rarely go inside, on request but I don't even know if we have 10 that are regular inside services. Besides commercial, residential anyway. So then they get to the house. regardless if they're home or not, even if the customers tell us they're home or not, we ring the doorbell without fail. Because every time it's happened where we don't, then somebody's in the backyard and it scares them, freaked them out, whatever. Knock on the door. We start by web dusting. We walk around the house, web dust. I tell them to use that as a security, like a dog or anything that they might see, wasp nests that they're not looking for. Then they do a regular pest control service.
Foundation, doors, windows.
Yeah, doors, windows, and then we come back with we don't use granules, but we use Niban. So we put Niban in the flower beds. And then we try to take any pictures of any issues that we have, and we text them again, if we find something that they didn't see. And I don't know that they do it like they need to, but I encourage them to take a picture at every house and send it at the end of the service. Hey, look what I found. Here's what I knocked down. Here's ants that I found or whatever. And just creating a ongoing need for pest control. If sometimes this is a business where you do so good, you can work yourself out of a job. So you always have to create a need, and it's not being deceptive. It's just being real,
Yeah, it is, because people don't see bugs for 2 months and all of a sudden they don't need your service because you did such a good job. Well, then if they drop you for an extra month or two, then they're calling you back because they need service again. Just more play that's preventative, Love it. It's crazy because we've already been on this an hour and I don't want to take about all day. So I'll try to hurry up with this. What's your business goals, personal goals over the next 3 to 5 years for tactical?
Man, Jonas, it was such a milestone for us in our vision to hit $1 million, right? So 2 years ago, we had our first $100,000 month, and I thought, what the heck, our first year we did 100,000, and then here we are hitting $100,000 month, and now we're not hitting $100,000 month, so we had a vision of trying to have a 50% growth this year versus 30% the last 2 years. So 1.5, 1.6 this year we're trying to shoot for, 1.7, whatever. Trying to get to that 2 million, but in the next 3 to 5, man, I want to be super aggressive, and in 5 years I want to be close to $10 million. And I know that might be hard, but I'm going to push.
Yeah, you guys will pull it off for sure. I know, like you're like you got some crazy engagement on some Facebook posts like recently.
It hasn't all turned into leads, but man, I don't know what's considered good and stuff. Jake said it's like really strong, and just we've never done it, and now we are just hammering post once a day, twice a day, and then putting ads out, and we're getting some engagement there, and it's I think that's the future of our growth. We have to. So, on top of I don't think our referrals are going to slow down. I mean, I think that our community referrals are so solid, and we have to get into other communities and do the same and replicate that in communities that I'm not a part of, outside of my hometown.
Love it. And then personal goals.
You've inspired me to be part of this 75
Oh,
hard. I
really?
haven't done that yet, but I really want to dive into that. So my mindset is I'm all or nothing. If I waver, I won't do it, right? Or I'll cave and I'll cheat. I've been doing fasting for some. I did a 110-hour fast. I usually do a 75-hour or 70-hour, 72-hour fast once a month. So mentally, I just got to get to that 75 hard. But that's what I want to.
When's the start date?
This is the reason I told you, because I need some accountability. So, and plus every guest that you have on, either boxes or jiu-jitsu or, they're all whatever. So I'm a little envious
It's
of
just
that,
funny.
but I want to
Like,
be a part
it's
of that.
not funny. Just I see it happen over. It's like over and over and over again. You see it so many times that you can't unsee it. It's like the evolution of an entrepreneur. Like they put so much time and effort into their business, and which is great. But then they forget about themselves. And like, I'm one of those people that you like lose yourself, or you lose a lot. Like you stop taking care of yourself because I put all to the business. And you're working, like he said, burning the candles at each end of the stick. You're working night and day trying to build this thing because you don't have it. You have to. You don't have another option. But then you forget about taking care of yourself, and that's all of a sudden they change from working on the business 100% of the time. Like now it's like working on the business 75% of the time, working on themselves 25% of the time.
We started this business to have some freedom, and I've taken advantage of that freedom quite a bit. And I don't want people to mistake freedom for lazy, right? So I've been so thankful that I got to coach my daughter in softball. We traveled all over the country playing travel softball. She was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to play. I wouldn't have been able to go to I would have missed all of that if I would have been working at Terminex still or just working for a job. So the freedom to make those choices are worth every sec. I would do it all over again. But I don't want people to think that that's time off, right? I'm still working, still like calling the guys, still talking when I'm out of state, doing the thing, still have to deal with a wrecked truck or whatever. One of the cool things about having a partner is you can kind of do that and somewhat check out while the business is still being handled. So that's the cool part of having a partner. But my Jacob's daughter's getting to the age where she's in travel ball and going to be traveling all over the country. So roles have kind of flip-flopped. Yeah. Yeah. But man, personal goal is just to take care of myself a little better. But I don't money. It's cool. It makes some choices a little bit easier, but I'm not money driven. My whole thing when we first started this is just to provide a living for people, man, and be able to provide. And we have 14 people work for us, and knowing that they count on us to make a living is it's process to me. It's a lot of pressure, but it's so cool to see. Like I said, one of my guys has been with us since before he was married, and now he has 2 kids and been with us, and we provide for him, and it's super cool to be able to see him flourish as a dad and as a husband to provide for his family. And that's what motivates me, and that's what wants me to keep going and keep growing this business, to give that opportunity to everyone.
It's awesome. And the last question, wrap this thing up. What's one piece of advice that you'd give, someone doing less than 500K in revenue, just getting the hustle going?
Man, I would just jump on social media as fast as you can. I would engage in all of that you can, learn that, get a CRM that does a lot of the work for you. And I would just say, just dig in and just don't stop, don't quit, because sometimes it seems like it's easy to quit. Had unmotivating days to not want to do anything, but you just got to plow through them and work on. And then after that 500K, man, it just seems to kind of just come on its own.
Like I've always said it too, like 800,000 is a sweet spot. You got to get there as fast as possible.
Yeah. Because it's like, I don't know, naturally it just comes on its own. It's like your name is out there. People start calling you. They want you. They're like, hey, I like the way you're. I told you earlier I bought a TRX, and I was so afraid of that because of, the sticker value and stuff. And I'm telling you, I got so many business opportunities off of my truck. Hey, we chose you because your truck. We like it. We like if you can do that, then you do good work. So it was the opposite of what I thought. It was crazy. So anyway, don't shy away. Don't quit, man. If you've got the 500,000, then you just got to keep going.
Yeah, it's just consistency, right? Showing up every single day.
It just has to be no matter what. Plus, it's an example for your people,
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Leadership starts at the top. You got to lead from the front, right? Awesome. Well, we'll end it at that. And as always, thanks for your time, Shawn. I'm sure I'll talk to you soon, but thanks for taking time. Thanks for dropping some knowledge bombs on us. We appreciate it, man.
Jonas, appreciate you a lot, man. Keep doing what you're doing, and you're an inspiration to a lot of people.
Appreciate it. See you, man.
Yep. See you.
Bye. Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. We don't charge any money for this show, but the podcast isn't free. Please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app. This makes a huge difference for us. If you have any specific questions about your business or your personal life that you'd like answered by me or any of my podcast guests, please send an email to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. And if you want to get in touch with me about our marketing class, we do a live version every Thursday night. Check out our website at pestcontrolmillionaires.com. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one.